Hi, this is John, and welcome to another edition of Statistics Tell a Story. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. This is week 13 of the NFL. And after a few weeks of just listing picks, actually on my YouTube channel, I was able to do a video here. So I wanted to give you my selections for the week along with my contest selections. So first up is the Washington Commanders getting 5.5 points from the Broncos. The Broncos have played quite a unique string of games. They've won eight in a row. Seven of them, I believe, seven of them were by no, take that back. Six of the last seven were were by 4 points or less, and included in two of those wins. One was against the Eagles, where they had a semi-miracle comeback in the fourth quarter where they had less than a 3% chance of winning the game. And one was against the Giants where they had a miracle comeback. And with 6 minutes or so left, they had less than a 1% chance of winning the game. So I'm not sure if we could look back in history and find a parlay of games where you had so many close games and you had two major comebacks in the fourth quarter. The point being, I have to believe Denver is just emotionally spent. Um, I'm not a big fan of their quarterback, Bo Nix, to begin with. I mean, he's having a decent year. He seems to minimize mistakes. This was one reason that Sean Payton liked him, is that in college he minimized mistakes, didn't take sacks, didn't throw interceptions. So he's a smart quarterback. And I think Payton has a tendency to play some close games. You know, Payton seems like he's the math-minded type where he's probably employing some game theory as the game goes along. For example, you're up 7 points, let's just say late in the third quarter. And again, this is just a guess, but he's probably thinking, well, how can I shorten the game, right? How can I make it three drives to two instead of four drives to three, right? Um, which gets to game probability. And so my guess is he's probably play calling in that fashion, much like the Eagles do a little bit. I think it was the Eagles last year. I want to say against the Steelers. I think they ran a 25 play drive that ended the game. And and of course, the Eagles have the offensive line to do it. The Broncos do too. But anyway, so I don't know that it's a coincidence they played so many close games. And I think there's a lot of scenario. I think they're ripe for an upset. And there's a lot of scenarios where the Broncos just win by a small amount. So I will take the 5.5 points. And as far I haven't said much about Washington, they're having a down year. Marcus Mariota is a very capable backup, and I have the model actually at just a few points, so we have a benefit there. So I really like the the Commanders as my number one pick. Second on the list are the Jets. They're getting 2.5 points, and actually you should be able to get that at minus 105. Um, the Jets, I've kind of been touting all year. They are just I believe they're just 2-9 on the year, so down year. They've covered a few of those games. Their defense is playing much better than it used to. Um, that it had been. I believe for the first five games they gave up 29 points or more. Since then, they've only given up 29 plus once in the I guess it would be the last six games. If you look at their success rate is actually a pretty good metric that has become a lot more popular in recent years. Defensively, their success rate, I believe, is in the top 10. Offensively, their success rate near the bottom, but it's not like in the bottom three. So they've actually, from a success point of view, moved the ball and prevented some success defensively. They've run into some bad luck. They had a quarterback that did not stretch the field in Justin Fields. Tyrod Taylor, I was looking at his statistics, and he's actually, for being he wasn't he was a starter for a few years in Buffalo, but his lifetime stats are not that bad. His interception rate, I think, is like something like 1.6%. His yards per attempt, I think, is 7. Those numbers will get you a starting job in a lot of cases. So I think I don't mean to exaggerate the point, but I think he's one of the all-time greatest backups ever for what that's worth. He is 36 years old now. They're playing the Falcons, who have Kirk Cousins, who's basically shot now. This game is in New York. I believe they're expecting rain in the afternoon, and Kirk Cousins being hobbled as he is, I don't think he's going to be able to move around much. Drake London is out, as is Garrett Wilson. So that's kind of a swap. But my model has the Jets as a slight favorite. And I'll take the 2.5 points with the Jets as my second pick. Third pick is the Saints. They're also getting 5.5 points. They are playing the Dolphins. The Dolphins, another strange year. I don't think I've ever seen a coach as maligned as McDaniel was going into the year. Because normally, if you're really maligned going into the year, you're probably not going to start the year. And I remember, I believe he was like a 4-1 favorite, not 4-1 against, but 4-1 for to be the first coach fired after 1 or 2 games. And I'm thinking it's just a matter of time. But somehow he was resilient. They blew out the Bills a couple of weeks ago, which in my opinion was their Super Bowl. They barely beat the Commanders a couple of weeks ago overseas. They had a bye week last week. And it's hard to know their psyche, but I still think they're a bad team. And I'm wondering if they, they peaked and they're susceptible to a letdown because they kind of got that monkey off their back, so to speak, with as maligned as the team and the coach was. They've actually made a comeback. I think they're at the highest they are in their market. The Saints, not a very good team. Tyler, I believe it's pronounced Schuff or Slough. So sorry, I'm mispronouncing his last name. Tyler Show, I believe it um, is actually having a decent year for a bad New Orleans team. They're probably one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the league, but getting 5.5 points against another bad team. Again, my model has this at just a few points, and I will take the Saints as my third pick. Fourth pick are the Steelers, getting 3.5 points. My model has this closer to a pick 'em. They're playing the Bills, who aren't quite the Bills maybe of the last few years. Not that the Steelers are anything special. I actually have the Steelers as a slightly below average team, but it is in Pittsburgh, and you're getting that hook beyond the 3 points. That's key. A lot of games end at 3. You do have Mason Rudolph as the starting quarterback, I think. But even with that, I don't know that there's much of a difference with Aaron Rodgers really, at the end of his career and having a down year. And Mason Rudolph has also been a very capable backup. So I have this closer to a pick 'em. This is what a lot of people would call a Mike Tomlin spot, which is, after a loss, they're at home, they're getting more than 3 points. He's been very successful in that role. Will it hold up the way it did maybe 10 years ago? I don't know. But either way, I think there is model value on the Steelers. So I like them as my fourth pick. So those are my 4 picks for the as far as who I'm betting on. The contest selections I am going to post in the comments, and I'm actually not sure of my fifth team. It will be these 4 teams along with a fifth, and I'll let you know that actually when I post the video. So I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, those likes and subscribes and comments are always helpful. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving once again, and I'll see you next time on Statistics Tell a Story. Thank you.